Let's take a quick poll. What's the most common piece of advice that you hear from friends, parents, siblings, playing partners on the golf course? My guess is that the thing that's going to occur at the top of the list is going to be to keep your head still. Hi, my name's Peter Knight, and I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you can be. And today we're going to talk about that old chestnut, you've got to keep your head still. It's sort of like the same as saying keep your eye on the ball or keep your head down. We're going to have a look at whether there's any valid reason for anybody to pass that on as advice, what some of the benefits are of keeping your head steady rather than still, and also what some of the issues are if you feel like you have to keep your head stuck in position. So first thing is that, my head's on top of my body, so any movement that my body makes is going to create movement in my head. So most of the time, head movements are not independent of the body. So if my posture changes, for example, as I swing the club, if my posture drops or if my posture changes, so my whole body's moving, well, my head's going to lift or it's going to drop accordingly. So it's not just head movement. So let's look at a few things about the head and what should happen during the golf swing. The first is that when I set myself up, I'm trying to, with posture, get my head nicely aligned with my spine. So when I set myself up, my face is down and my neck is aligned quite nicely with my spine. Now, where that wouldn't be the case is either if I set myself up and I've been told to lift my head, now I can't even speak clearly because my throat's closed up. So there's tension through the front of my throat, and also the shape of my neck at the back here with my head lifted up means that my spine's not going to be able to turn correctly. On the other hand, if my head's down in my chest, then I'm going to have a lot of difficulty. I'll probably have very rounded posture, and also I'm going to have problems trying to swing the club back. So the first thing is that get the neck aligned. Now, for a lot of players, that's going to mean not necessarily lifting the head, but there's a difference between my head lifting and my head retracting. So you can see my face is still at the same angle to the ground or to the ball, but my head is retracted, and now I've got much better alignment through my spine. Really, really common issue with a lot of players. So first thing with posture, get that head retracted, only to a point that's comfortable and lines up your spine, nothing excessive. The second thing is that as I swing the club back and through, if I'm not rotating my shoulders correctly, now what I mean by that is that when I set myself up and rotate, I want my shoulders to stay at right angles to my spine, or very close to it. If I turn my shoulders flat, as the club goes back, my left shoulder now is blocking my chin, and if I try and rotate further, it's going to pull me out of posture and will certainly move my head. So when you set yourself up and move, get the shoulders to move back and through at right angles to the spine, and that'll give plenty of clearance, or it's sufficient clearance between your chin and your shoulder for the club to swing correctly in the backswing. And it's mostly the backswing that we're going to have issues with that as well. The third thing is that when you swing the club through, and this is the one where if a player hits particularly the top of the ball or hits the ball thin, they might feel that they've lifted their head or be told that they've lifted their head. If I throw the ball, toss the ball underarm, as I toss it, my head's not going to stay. I'm not going to throw it and stay like that. I'll throw it, but then my body sort of moves up and I'm turning toward the target. It's a natural movement. So with my golf swing, when the club swings back and through, my body will turn and come up. In fact, if I'm literally watching the ball's out there, so I've turned to watch where it is anyway. But again, I'm not trying to restrict the movement, particularly not trying to sort of keep my head steady here. The tension that I need to create in my body to keep my head in that position, particularly around my neck, it's a hazard. You can easily create an injury with that just by trying to keep your head down, because you've got so much force with the rotating body and the movement of the club that if you're trying to stay in a position, your body's fighting against that because it wants to move and flow through correctly. So we need to allow that to occur. The next thing about keeping the head steady is that when I set myself up, if I look at my eye line, so we know at address that we want, say, the target line, which is running between the ball and the target, to be sort of our master guide when we're setting up as far as alignment goes. So I want my feet, knees, hips, shoulders, and my eyes to all be aligned with that target line. So when I set myself up, if my alignment is out this way, so my eye alignment is sort of heading off to the right there, or this way heading off to the left, not only does it change my perception of where the target is, but it's also going to influence how I swing the club. So eye alignment's critical. The final thing is that if I move my body in a steady, centered fashion and retain posture as I'm doing that, then my head will stay steady enough. So steady doesn't mean completely still. There's always going to be a little bit of movement. As I swing the club, there's going to be a tiny bit of movement from side to side for most players with most swings. There may even, as the club's swinging back and through, be a little lifting and dropping movement. But again, absolutely minimal, but there may be some of that during the golf swing. So if I play a shot here, we'll see that my head won't be absolutely still. But nevertheless, I'm able to hit a shot effectively. So when you're considering whether or not your head should be steady, look first of all, have a look and see if it is actually moving. Maybe it's your body moving around. So look first at posture, then look at eye alignment, and then look at how freely your body's moving back and through. And you'll probably find there is so much force in your swing that you never literally lift your head.